Karma, Seraphine are banned away. They are flex picks and most normally opt into Peng in the mid lane. The Talia locked in, also a champion that I'm more associating with Peng than I am Shernfire, but not to say that it can't be flexed into the jungle. It has just made a real resurgence in that mid lane.
I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, Shernfire does have a tendency to pick stuff which is a little bit more out of meta. I think the Nocturne that he played against Mirage a few weeks back springs to mind as Misfits Premier going to be looking in the Zeri. Such a deadly combo with the Yuumi.
And this is what we're expecting to be going down into the bot lane this time around. When you have the Yuumi in tandem, they do make a very good pairing with the quick critical strike build path for Woolite down on that bot side. Of course, still the chance for it to be flexed about, but it is going to be very much up in the air. Another champion with a dash to engage. This is adding to the priority for me. Adding the control that she's going to have in the game. But Wukong locked in. Very safe, very stock, standard jungler for Misfits Premier, and I think OPL responding here in kind with a safe stock standard ADC.
Yeah, nothing really too crazy here. I would just say, Rudu, we did see Seiken get caught out a fair few times and wasn't really able to get to a point on the Talia where you could actually be effective as a zoning tool. So definitely a champion that can offer that, but you do need to be relevant in terms of itemization if you're going to be interrupting what Schlatan and what Woolite want to do.
Yes, I agree. Certainly, you do need to be at parity for the Talia. She scales actually very well into the late game, but her early game is something that can feel a little bit lacking. Her damage not all there until you have some levels in your ability, some items to back you up as well. Now we're getting to see these top laners banned away by OPL. They obviously know that Misfits Premier haven't locked in their top laner just yet, even though I will say way back when Wukong... I was going to say, Wukong was one of the answers to the Gnar back in the day, so this is an opportunity potentially for some old school top lane counter picks. But no surprises to see Junglers taken away by Misfits Premier, a nice top lane taken away as well by OPL. So nothing too untoward.
Yeah.
OPL here, quite expected to just match support.
I think that the Nautilus ban is key because he is one of the few champions that offers that guaranteed engage, that point and click CC, which can be so effective onto the Zeri. You get the depth charge, then you can combo that into the dredge line really, really easily. It doesn't matter how much movement speed you've got if you are dead. Volibear going to be the lock-in for Shernfire. Definitely nerfed on this patch and not really something that we see many people go towards.
No, but it does still have, it still does what Volibear does at the end of the day. You want to fight early game, you want to look for some scraps. Yeah, Shernfire is your man. Volibear is your champion to opt to. Maybe a little bit worse for wear, but it's still going to be largely a-okay through the early stages. Ahri, a potential lock-in for Misfits Prem. They have to take their mid laner and their top laner here. So taking what they're expecting into Dalek's Gnar in the top lane as well, needing to be decided. And for Catch Cost so far, has largely been a frontline player and a very proficient tank player for the Misfits Premier squad that has really given them a frontline to play around and a team comp to build with.
Yeah, but with the Ornn taken off the table, it's kind of just the Sejuani, which is existing as that meta top lane tank. Has an alright matchup into the Gnar, especially when you do have Wukong, this melee jungler who can stack up the passive very, very quickly.
Yeah, you get an attack speed steroid from your Nimbus Cloak plus the auto attack reset from the Wukong Q. So it does become very easy to collapse onto a target, stun them down quite quickly. OPL, if you lock in this, I'm absolutely a-okay with it. It's just going to harken back to things that we've touched on time and time again, where OPL need to be synergized in their engagements. They've got two champions that can dive very deep into the backline with great ease. They've got a third and fourth that have great follow-up in the Talia and the Gnar. And if they can synchronize all of those engagements together, there's a very real possibility this OPL composition comes together. But at the end of the day, Middlecott, there is a reason this team is 4-13. That same wavelength has not been found in all their games.
The lack of synchronization, as you put it, I think is the key thing, because looking at what Misfits Premier have drafted, it's very squishy in terms of the carries. The Zeri and the Ahri don't have a lot of HP to work with, but they've got such insane mobility that if that initial engage doesn't land, it becomes so difficult for OPL to play out the rest of the fight.
Exactly. Their follow-up, I think, and the killing of the first target, and I always talk about this when we have a Jinx in the game, because it is just so important. An excited Jinx can start to take over team fights. She goes from being 100% of a champion to 140, 150% of her DPS to start out the fight. So if you get that first reset and you can blow up that initial target, great, lovely stuff. That is how you're going to set up for the rest of OPL to succeed. And Bung on this Jinx, I think that Bung in particular has had a fairly decent showing on his, albeit limited stay in the LFL. A player that, given the resources, would not be surprised to see make a big of a splash.
So let's see if he can do that. If Oplon are going to be able to take down Misfits Premier, or the team already locked into playoffs show why they deserve to be there. We are going to be jumping into the final game of the regular split in just a moment.
My face, you'd know I was doing something stupid.
We are jumping onto Summoner's Rift for the final time this evening, and the final time in this regular split. Oplon and Misfits Premier, nothing to play for between these two teams, but if the drafts are anything to go by, neither of them wants to fall down here, neither of them wants to do anything suspect. A win is the only goal.
Misfits Premier looking to end their season out with a bit of a bang. Obviously, a team that needs to quite honestly make some improvements if they want to have a deep run in the playoff stages. They have had good showings, good signs of life, but their consistency, certainly nothing to write home about. Had a really good late mid-season surge, which then petered out just at the time that it was important. And Oplon on the flip side, also a team here that, again, want to try and keep themselves a little bit warmed, but for an unfortunately much sadder reason, that being that they have to battle it out for the relegation/promotion stages to come back to the LFL next split.
And they've had a few strong performances, so I wouldn't be surprised that in 2023 that we do see them coming through again, because there has been some good signs for them, but yeah, not quite able to chain anything consistent together, anything that it would take them outside of those relegation spots. A rude dude. As we come into the game, I quite like to do a lot of the time, look down the summoner spells. Look, see if there's anything a little bit crazy going on there. I'm counting 4 cleanses at the moment.
People are feeling very clean, very ready to get rid of any scurvy, any dirtiness that is going to be befalling them in the match. And we look at the champions on either side, it does make perfect sense. For Misfits Premier, they're going to be cleansing away from Twist's engagements. And Oplon, the Dalek follow-up is something that can be very real also. That's Q number 1. Remember, Mimi does have 2 Qs if he wants to try and find a re-engage. But for Oplon, we see Peng and Bung also opting into cleanse for themselves. Of course, the likes of a Sejuani ultimate, the lockdown that a Yumi can provide with that final chapter. And if you happen to get caught out by a Charm Flash by Chayek, all of these things going to be beautiful cooldowns to be cleansing away from.
There's seeing lanes starting to emerge in terms of the priority and the pressure. It is Dalek getting the shove initially on the top side of the map. This is kind of what you expect from this Sejuani Gnar matchup. The Gnar in the mini form does have a little bit of a better time, like shoving the wave and getting it under tower. But the thing that Dalek needs to be really careful is those ganks. If Zlatan makes their way up towards the top side of the map, then especially in this mini Gnar form, you are incredibly vulnerable.
Especially when, like you say, the drop off of resistances, certainly something that you can take advantage of. Fleet footwork to Dalek as well. So a little bit more safety given in the laning phase. Remember, we touched on lethal tempo now a little bit earlier on in the game. This is not that same pin. It's definitely a little bit different, a bit more focused around, a bit more of a bully-centric style. Especially when, on the flip side, he's up against an Ignite catch cross also. So making sure that you're not getting too bullied out, making sure that you're above that HP threshold of lethality on a Sejuani.
Really don't want to be taken down, as both junglers ending up on the bottom half of the map. Zlatan opting in for a bit of a reverse clear. Schernfire is taking away all his camps and has actually managed to do it at a pretty rapid state. Stun onto Chayek, who's going to cleanse very, very late. Peng doesn't quite have the mana to follow up with more damage.
No, and the Tillia in the early stages, granted, not the most damage from one combo, but when you land 3-4 in a row, it's go pretty well.
Ooh, stun still connecting forward onto Zlatan, not quite able to clone himself out of that one. Twist moving into the Misfits Premier jungler to support Schernfire a little bit, and you got a Zeri and a Yumi as your bot lane duo. These early engagements aren't really where you're going to be finding too many advantages, as I'm going to fire out the W. That's giving me flashbacks, rude dude, from the previous game, but will I not one-shotting anyone with that ability quite yet?
Wow, wow. Nerf or buff Zeri. Goran's Blade doesn't one-shot. Shaking my head. Woolite, though, does a good little bit of scouting also. I mean, Bung and Twist were waiting in the wings for that, so it's nice to see that they're playing with a little bit of restraint, also not committing too hard on the play. But that was a great highlight of the difference between Wukong and the Volibear. These are two champs that maybe 2 patches ago would have been highly sought after. But have each received their own set of nerfs. Wukong's early clear, definitely getting hit, Volibear as well. And with that, they receive both lower power levels, but relative to one another, the Volibear still stays out in front, and he's actually just able to clear way faster and punish onto the Wukong.
I just gotta say, looking for the stun, and Dalek actually feeling like he needs to flash away. Can't underestimate the damage that Sejuani can do in the early stages, especially with that ignite.
I respect it. I respect the flash. Like you say, Ignite can be very misleading and you can sometimes get caught out by it. Want to look a bit further forward though, we have got a Dragon on the board. Nobody focusing their attentions down there just yet, and when we look at the bot lane in particular, I feel like that tends to be where we need to look to for who's taking those Drakes. I would expect it to be Uplon middle cot, because they get push.
Woolite and Vander resetting, Peng securing the shove in the mid lane, and that means that Shern, Fire, and Co. able to make their way down to the Drake and clear it away without too much issues. This Volibear has actually had a pretty strong early game thus far.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not too bad. Nice some camps, getting a little lead in that CS department, experience also. So far so good for Shern, Fire, and I don't think this is necessarily a composition that is on a time bomb either, right? So often when we look at Volibears, you say, okay, you have a limited window of effectiveness, which is maybe true for the champion, but not necessarily true of the game. As long as Shernfire can coax Uplon into a point where they're comfortable in that mid and late game, I really value the power of a Jinx and Mumu team fight with the Talia, with the Ornn follow-up. Certainly got a lot of control as Shernfire now making a move into the mid lane again.
Yeah, trying to get a 1 in the kill column as Chayek does have access to that Spirit Rush, comboed with the Cleanse to get away. Again, it's Uplon who seem to be making the more proactive plays, as we're starting to see a roam here from Chayek towards Dalek. No flash available on this Gnar. Stun into the Charm. First blood going to be secured for Misfits Premier.
Eventually here.
Eventually.
Okay.
That sometimes happens when you're casting. You want to like end off like on the kill, like as he goes down, but then this is Premier kind of trolling a little bit, not picking up Dalek as soon as they could have done. But still, first blood going into this Ahri. We've already seen today how an Ahri can completely take over the game if played effectively.
So look, keep your eyes on Chayek. Has been instrumental in Misfits Premier wins, but in their losses sometimes does feel a little bit neutered. Like he's not particularly been able to get away with anything in games, and that can really hurt them. Early damage from the Yuumi. Dark Seal picked up, and of course maxing that Prowling projectile for the laning phase. Certainly going to hurt, and with the Scorch in the back pocket as well, Bung, you can tell, feeling the rough end of this Yuumi.
Yeah, not enjoying that, as Twist is going to be going a little bit further forward than he maybe desired. The bandage toss not connecting onto the Zerion. With the additional movement speed, the dodge coming through from Woolite as he cleanses out of the traps. Bung taken incredibly low. Ultra Shock Laser not going to find him though, as it's actually the Zeri who's going to be forced to flash away, as here comes Shern. Fire not finding the kill though, the heal from the Yuumi just enough.
Yeah, not turning off the turret either. Wanted to position it so he got the max damage from the ultimate, but just misses out on extinguishing the flames of the turret, and it means that he can't go for that dive. If you get a second W there, odds are you find the kill and take down Woolite, punish the overextension, but not able to come through this time round. It's Shernfire who spends a lot of time down in that bot side, first ulti from the Volibear. Not something that we associate with needing to be successful, but also so much better when it is.
And I mean, like, at least you're looking at Woolite without summoner spells now. No flash, no cleanse, so if you were to make a replete play towards the bottom side of the map, hell, maybe get Peng involved as well. Level 8 now on this Talia, nearly level 9, so those threaded volleys are going to be really hurting.
Tier 2 boots rush for Peng with the tier as well. That's 1,500 gold sank into an item that is not your mythic item. It means that whilst he's going to be reaching that level 9 threshold, slowly going to be racking up the damage as well for Peng in the mid lane, where you can see Chayak on the flip side, with that extra kill, that extra 400 gold in his back pocket, almost completed the Liandry's. And 2 stacks on the Dark Steel also, so he's feeling pretty good about himself.
Can't count out those stacks, man.
No, I know.
Could turn into a Medjai's as Woolite a little bit on his lonesome in the bottom side of the map, as Oplon will spot out this attempted Herald take from Misfits Premier. That means that Woolite is kind of getting the reckless treatment this game, forced away from his own tower.
Ah, oh wait, that's a bad thing. You know, if somebody's getting the reckless treatment, I'd tend to associate that with being good. Dude's had a very good career.
Yeah, but Woolite is not having a good time. The super mega death rocket. First kill of the game for Oplon, and it goes on their ADC.
Lovely stuff. Perfect kill distribution as well. Straight on to the hyper carry of the late game. And first time Vander really leaves Woolite down on that bot side, he does get punished. And it's one of those difficult situations where you want to get vision to confirm your suspicions that there's somebody in that brush. The second you do it, though, you get in the engage range of the Amumu, of the Volley Baron. It shows you why as well. This is a little tip for all of you out there that are maybe struggling to climb, getting caught out in your solo queue games. Blue Trinket on ADCs has a much longer range and does the same job. Yeah, take it.
It's pretty good. Also, if you think there's someone in a bush, there probably is, as Zlatan exiting the bush, moving forward onto Dalek, who flashes away, gets knocked up into the air regardless, and it's another kill for Misfits Premier.
Yeah, these Merc Treads really not helping out Dalek all that much. Remember, the Q from Catch Cost is not going to help out, nor is it going to help out on any of the knockups coming through from Zlatan either. It is exclusively built for the E and for the ultimate from Catch Cost, which, yes, it's got its uses, but you can see if you're synchronizing nicely with your jungler, it just does not matter. Now, limited combat stats for Dalek right now, and he's certainly going to be struggling his way through into the mid.
But Fire getting a response play on the bottom half of the map, claiming that Cloud Drake, so we are going to be having a Mounted Solars in the mid lane. Peng going to be forced to flash away. Chayak stunned, so can't go further forward. No flash on the Talia. Possibility of a repeat gank to come through as multiple members of Misfits Premier cheating towards the bottom half of the map.
And this is the one area of the map they've yet to dominate. Woolite. Danger.
Ooh, caught out by Twist, who's going to combo the stun alongside Fire, but the cleanse means that Woolite gets out of that CC and can fire some shots of his own. Chayak flashing for the charm, but doesn't find it. Brilliant. Chompers from Bung to dissuade the play and force Misfits Premier to back away.
And save both of his teammates right there as well. It is not just dissuasion, it is outright prevention of a demolition of the support and jungle combo from Oplon. And I like this, drawing their attention to that one side of the map that is not going completely in their favor. That mid lane has an advantage for Chayak. Top lane absolutely stomping here is Catch Cost. Granted, the CS is even, but we look at the item disparity, look at the experience also. Catch Cost wants to make a play on the bottom side of this map. He has every reign to do so, where Dalek has to check a lot of boxes before he can make a move away from Catch Cost.
And the thing about this Frostfire Gauntlet is it means that chasing down this Gnar in that mini form becomes so much easier, and the kill threat that the Gnar can offer in that Mega Gnar form when comboing up isn't really there as much. So good stuff from Catch Cost in this top lane. You don't need to be massively ahead on these tanks. You just need to survive the laning phase, and then getting towards the team fights, you're going to be so impactful.
Already working their way towards that margin, and Dalek trying to do their best to catch up as well, I suppose. You stealing away just the big golem as well. It's going to be fairly awkward. Losing a lot of gold from the camp and also denying it from your jungler, but it's the necessary steps to be taken to get some semblance of gold back in his pocket. Difficult road ahead for the top lane of Oplon, and so far we've not seen them do too much around this bot side. I was about to comment, you know, looking at it, how can they look to facilitate Bung once again? But we're like, even with that death, even with the zoning away from the turret, still more than free to step up to this wave and try and take it back down.
As in the mid lane, Zlatan kills Peng. That's a taking advantage of the lack of flash on that Talia, picking up the kill. Going to be summoning the Rift Herald as well, actually trying to funnel some plates into Chayak.
That's exactly what you wanted to see, Minod. But nice to see Misfits Premier opened your DMs and are ready to go. Not going to get to the plates from this, unfortunately. Take notes. There you go. Use the Herald post 14 minutes. Optimal success.
Take notes. Take notes.
Any note takers in chat? Any PPOGs?
As,
European OG enjoy in the middle court.
I don't know what that is. As
It's the Pepe with the little notepad out.
Ah, okay, not familiar. Yeah, this is sort of easy as you like, really, on Peng. Not really anything that he can do without Flash. It's
how the matchup goes, middle court.
it's how the matchup goes. Second kill, actually, for Zlatan, who on this Wukong is obviously not going to be favoured in the early game versus Schönfire on the Volibear, and we sort of saw that a little bit, but he's definitely starting to make his way into relevancy.
Is there? Is exactly.
Well, it's making his way. He's already arrived.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's arrived. He's at the party first. He's ready to go. Him and Chayek have opened the door for everybody to get into this relevant factor. And that if he tries to go up against anybody in a 1v1 right now, he is going to win. Be it Bung, be it Dalek, literally whoever they throw at Zlatan, even if it's in a 1v1, I think he's gonna find a large semblance of success with. That early game lead that Schönfire had through the early XP has now dropped off. Zlatan, even down farm, is up in experience. I don't want to know what crazy wonky maths has gone into that one, but that's the case. Being able to take the first turret, they're down on the bot side, and it is putting gold into the right place for OPL. Yeah. Talked about it time and time again, and we can't stress it enough. TP behind, though.
Yeah, gold in the right place, but Bung may be in the wrong place as Catchkos is making his way over. Response TP is going to be coming through from Oplon as Bung cleanses away the stun and can keep dealing the damage. Schönfire is taken low, is going to be taken down as Zlatan is on a killing spree, and the Jinx is dead as well. A double kill for the Wukong. 3 for 0 actually, in favor of Misfits Premier as Oplon go too far forward once again. Dalek and Peng, the solo laners from the Spartans, the last ones left stood, and this may be their Thermopylae. Stun onto Chike crucially means that the charm can be Zonya's by Peng, and there's not quite enough damage to take out the Talia.
3 for 0 though still on the bot side. Oplon not able to respond, and honestly a late TP from Dalek right there. They saw the TP from Catchkos so far in advance and not able to convert on a response play. That was a 5 versus Wild Chayek. Not a part of that. Drake can easily be secured because of that. A little bit of a tempo reset, unfortunately. That's all that is for Bung. Helps a recall. Forced a flash in the mid lane though, Twist. Making the most of that reset timer. Chayek just slightly staying out on the map for a little too long. But 4-man resets from Misfits Premier. I would like to see them go back to base and spend that gold. Try and get back out onto the map. There's a Rift Herald on the horizon. It's already open, so try and play for that if possible.
Yeah, and this mid lane tower is actually pretty low for Misfits Premier. Oplon not going too aggressive, not over diving, not over pushing to try and secure it, but I feel like the first team that does take down that mid lane tower is always going to be so favored because it means that you can push your vision lines a little bit further and you can start to move around the map a little bit more easily. And wouldn't be surprised if Oplon take this Herald and slam it straight in that mid lane.
It's easy as well on this side, coming from top side. You can just pop it down quite nicely if you sit in this brush, or even if you just have the ego to walk up and put it down. It's something that should just fall like that. And this falls, this comes from Misfits Premier taking resets late. They got the dragon and they stayed out on the map. They could have lost either the Herald or the mid-tier 1 turret. Instead, they lose both because they're not ready to respond to the play. A little bit of a misstep on their timing window, but they're still by and large ahead of the play. But remember, the gold lead was in their favor since gone.
I mean, there basically isn't a gold lead right now, and that's kind of perplexing seeing the difference in terms of the kill score, but that CS, those towers, is so important for actually securing that gold, and not to mention that Bung actually got the first tower as well, so you get a little bit of bonus gold from that. Misfits Premier, though, going to be responding, trying to take down some structures of their own. Have already taken out that mid lane tower and reduced top lane to around about 30%.
Despite the fact that this Ultra Shock laser is not coming from an AP Zeri, Woolite still hurts. It's annoying because the laser also scales off of bonus AD, so every item that you get, your W, again, starts to deal more and more damage. Woolite in a very good spot this game. He is actually the one person who's behind in terms of where his counterpart is, but he's still feeling incredibly confident with how the game is going, just because he's got the Zeri on his back at pretty much all times. Leandri's almost completed Orbander also. Doubling down on that percent health damage.
I'm quite excited to see that as Dalek will find Zlatan 2 levels up on the Wukong, but Wouldn't be surprised if Wukong still wins that 1v1 with how far accelerated Zlatan has been in this game.
Slowed up down a little bit, unfortunately, off of the initial Divine Sundra pickup. Only a Kindle Gem and a Longsword since, and this is the notion of jungle as well. I feel like most junglers end up being full build at about 2 items. Zlatan, you're BMing. This is my favourite Wukong trick, by the way, just STing.
Yeah, and able to chunk a fair bit off of Shenfire. Not going to mean too much, as actually 4 members of Oplon stood around in this top, so they are going to try and play onto catch cost, but the Sejuani is incredibly tanky, especially with that Frost Armor. Then gets a stun back onto 2 from Chayak and Woolite, but we're actually going to go forward onto the mid laner as the fight is precipitating in the top half of the river as well. That one's going in favor of Oplon, but here come the rest of Misfits Premier. Already a 1-for-1 top laner for mid laner, but look at Bung. The damage that this Jinx can put out is absolutely disgusting. Another reset comes through, more damage, more shutdowns, more gold for Oplon as Dalek is forcing flashes away from Zlatan. And hell, they might just go towards the Baron.
No surprises if they do. Phantom Dancer plus the Kraken Slayer, the best 2 items to take down a neutral objective. Zlatan hasn't got flash, but does have the smite. If he can worm his way into this objective, he can find the steal potentially, but it's not going to be easy. Oplon not necessarily searching for him, and there's a TP coming through. Catch cost trying to make the difference. Oplon, they've got to make a choice.
Yeah, the HP bars are relatively low. Twist doesn't have the ultimate, so Misfits Premier can just walk in there. It's an execute onto Bung, and that's all of the damage. Misfits Premier take advantage of the fumble, but Peng is here to try and turn it around. The threaded volley dealing the damage, able to get a shutdown on to that monkey man as Dalek in the miniform, kiting away from catch cost, but you can't kite a Puerton away. Shutdown secured by Woolite, and once again Misfits Premier find a fight.
And they stop the Baron going down as well. That was imperative for them. Just as we think Oplon are really starting to find their footing in the game, they use the 2-item Jinx to hit a really great team fight. They overextended, they go for a little bit too much. They got a bit scared, not knowing where Zlatan was. Even if they'd have just sent 2 people to try and deal with the Monkey Man, may have been able to zone him off of the Baron, may have been able to take that for themselves, sacrifice 1 or 2 members. Get the objective. In the end, they get nothing. They lose out on the fight. They lose out on the Baron. It's fortunate that it doesn't go into enemy hands because they did manage to take out Zlatan. They lose the Drake also. Now 2 stacking up. Remember, in a game previous middle cut, we discussed the power of mounting Drakes on teams without tanks and how it's fairly limited. This game, there are tanks abound on either side. Catch costs for Misfits Premier and oh so many for Oplon. Every single mountain Drake is incredibly important for Misfits Premier because it puts catch cost in a nice and tankier position, but it denies the tanky stats from Shenfire, Dalek and Twist.
And once again, we're seeing towers being traded across the map for both of these teams. There are no more outer towers left. It's just those inners. It's just those tier 2s. Obviously worth a lot of gold on the side lanes, but that doesn't seem to be the way that either of these teams are set up. As Peng going to be caught out in the mid lane, stunned. The damage is just too much. Catch cost with their first kill of the game.
Nice little pick in the mid lane right there. The power of Sejuani. You can engage from 2 screens away, it feels like, will not have been up on Peng's window, really. And just Fog of War manages to find the pick. Cleanse just now, tinking back up. No, mid lane, they feel confident. Forcing Shenfire's ulti means this Baron falls even easier because there's no way for Shen to get into pit unless he wants to extend that flash.
Well, that is going to have to make their way over relatively slowly, so Misfits Premier slightly delayed in terms of starting up this Baron, and the rest of Oplon may take advantage of that time as they go over the wall. They just turn so quickly onto Shenfire and remove the Volibear from existence. Dalek has just gone mega on the Gnar, but Oplon aren't quite in a position to find and engage.
Choice to make whether they wanted to opt into a fight or just deter the Baron, and I think that both teams getting the best outcome right there. They sacrifice Shenfire, but they don't lose the Baron. So this is Premier get what they want. They wanted to fight Oplon, get what they want. They denied the Baron. I don't think they were ever planning on committing to that big objective, but still a very tight game between these two. Not what I was expecting at all. The you middle cut had your prediction on Oplon for the beginning of this game. I don't know how you're feeling about that just now, but there is a very real possibility Bung does this.
Definitely. Every item that this Jinx gets on her back is another item that Misfits Premier are going to have to fear, because very, very difficult for any champion, even a Zeri with a Yuumi buffing her up, to match the DPS that Jinx could put out.
I want to touch on Twist's itemization quickly because he's opted into this Even Shroud, which is such a good item, particularly when you're pairing it with a Jinx. It amplifies the damage onto the first target UCC, and it means that the reset capability from Bung is that much amplified. It means that you get that initial kill, you get that first reset onto your Jinx even easier. A really good itemization choice from Twist, going away from the usual likes of Locket.
And do you know what else is a good item, Rude Dude? Infinity Edge for Jinx, as Misfits Premier are starting up the Baron. OPL are making their way over. The Jinx is slightly delayed as the DPS from Misfits Premier not necessarily the highest. Dalek has just gone into the mini form. Ultis are available for all of these players. Peng is going to be securing a knockback onto Zlatan, who is around about 60% HP right now. OPL just poking, just prodding away at Misfits Premier and forcing them away from the objective.
And now they get Prior over mid lane. They can try and push in a second wave, and they'll get a stab at trying to take out either some vision or a bit of a chip damage onto the tier 2 turret. It looks like it's going to be the vision clearing, quite like this for OPL, but a Drake spawning up in, not necessarily too short a time, 1 minute 16 before that one comes online. Not going to be the soul for either team, but soul point, something that could put you on a bit of a clock.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of sort of faux power, almost. French word.
Oh.
Because being
How are
on
you
three...
spelling that?
I don't know. 3 Drakes doesn't give you the most power in the world. If they're all the same Drake, you can kind of index into a specific level of power. Like if Misfits Premier take down this next Mountain Drake, then the resistances for catch costs are going through the roof. But it really is that 4th Drake. It's that soul, which is the main thing that you want to be fighting for. And so what the soul point does is it gives you that pressure point. It means that every time the dragon is spawning, your opponent has to come for you, has to contest that, and you can use that to your advantage to make other plays on the map.
Particularly around that Baron. You can say, hey, you know what, I'm not in a particular liability to take this Drake, but Schönfire, the rest of OPL, they're looking like they want to take a fight themselves.
A fair bit of damage onto catch cost there. That Frost Armor has fallen off of the Sejuani, so a little bit squishier than you'd necessarily expect as they are finding the initial engage through onto Schönfire. Zlatan making their way into the backline, but is going to be rooted up. Peng claiming the first kill of the fight onto Schönfire, onto Peng as it's 2 kills already for OPL. Woolite is trying to cut as much as he can onto Zeri, trying to do as much damage as possible as catch cost able to dash away. The health bars on OPL are oh so low. But none of them are dead just yet. Woolite now going forward, but cannot find the engage. Oh my god, Rudu, that was close.
OPL just poking, teasing at Misfits Premier. Then they engage, and somehow the entirety of OPL live. They're constantly just putting forward one member who can tank just one extra burst fire from Woolite, and they get a 2-0 in their favor. Bung is such a pivotal member right now of this OPL composition. If he ever goes down, it's curtains for the OPL side. But right now, they've done just enough. This is a replay of that fight. Crucial cooldowns going a little bit awry, honestly. Woolite is playing with fire, stepping up like this, but knows that he's got the cleanse, got the Yuumi, got his dash to safety. When he gets hit here, starting to fear the worst, and the important catch cost cooldown hits onto the Volibear. Bung positions away from the Wukong so he doesn't get knocked up by that initial engagement. By the time everybody gets into the backline to help out with Zlatan, frontline's already dead. There's enough protection there for Bung to send him back to the grave.
And Misfits Premier not quite able to find the target access that is necessitated by this OPL composition. If you aren't killing Bung, then you're not winning the fight.
And Skullcop, League of Legends is just that simple. This is one of those games. Kill ADC, win game. Don't kill ADC, ADC win game. And it could be difficult for Misfits Premier. They've proven that it's going to be difficult for them to get access to it. OPL are playing very, very well as a team. We need to see this continue. We need to see them transition this into that game win. Because like you said, every single item that this Jinx gets, your smile gets even bigger at your OPL prediction. Because you know that the Jinx is going to get only more powerful from this point. And she's already so strong.
Zlatan thinking about going over the wall, actually going to pull the final chapter as well. Doesn't get too much in terms of the engage, as Chike is going to force that flash away from Dalek. The Weaver's Wall walking multiple members of Misfits Premier around this wall. But OPL not able to find the play.
A lot of cooldowns used, though, by Misfits Premier. The Spirit Rush and the Lightning Crash all expended. Zeri now a much weaker champion while that cooldown is not available, and I'd like to see OPL try and make the most of this. They could potentially opt toward a team fight. They haven't got the greatest engage tools. Twist does still have the Curse to Sad Mummy, but without that flash, it's so difficult to try and manufacture and engage without having good flank angles.
And again, if you aren't finding Woolite, then it's really difficult for you actually to play out the fight. There are only a couple of those burst fires. If those are connected in that previous engagement, then we could have been seeing a Woolite pentakill. Honestly, that's how low the health bars were on OPL. They're slowly being forced away from the Baron. 30 minutes on the clock. Misfits Premier starting it up.
Okay, decision time now for Misfits Premier. They've opted into this a couple of times. Squire's Bloom going to spot them out. Are they going to peel? Are they going to commit? Genfire has got ultimate, can get into the pit, but it's getting low.
Yeah, already 3,000, already 2,500 HP on that Baron. Huge engage coming through for Twist, but he doesn't have the follow-up to make it work. Zlatan! Zonya's at the last possible moment before Peng can take him out. A 1-for-1 jungler for supporters. Chuck is going to be finding the charm onto Dalek, but there is no follow-up damage. Once again, the Baron is started, and once again, the Baron is stopped.
Support for jungler. Timing on the kill about as good as it gets for Misfits Premier, since the Drake spawns in 90 seconds, Zlatan up in 22. They can go in as 5 and try and set up vision around this Mountain Soul. And going for the Mountain Soul, obviously, it gives OPL a nice little boost. We've already touched on how powerful it's going to be, so Misfits Premier, they do not want to be giving this one up for free. Would like to see them turn their attentions to that bot side. But as you so rightly highlighted earlier, middle cut, OPL under no obligation to go to this Mountain Dragon. They can try and turn this into a Baron for themselves.
I wanna touch on something, Rue, dude. Lord Dominic's Regard just picked up the bung. The Infinity Edge is a huge item spike for the Jinx in terms of dealing with the squishies. The Lord Dominic's is going to make the getting through catch cost, getting through Zlatan to a certain extent, a hell of a lot easier, especially when you look at how much armor this Sejuani has built.
Yes, and particularly with the passive also. It just means that when you're hitting on initially, you do have a load of front-loaded damage to follow up on the rest of your DPS.
Shag looking for Bung here. They are going to be able to find him. The charm connecting as well. The Jinx cannot contribute damage to the fight, and that means the OPL are routed. Already 3 kills for Misfits Premier. Make that 4. Make that 5. Clean ace.
That could be the game here, Middlecott. The final game of LFL regular season could have just been decided in the space of 2 single seconds. Jayak steps forward, finds the fight, uses Vander's final chapter, and that could just be the game.
The death timer's a little bit too long for the members of OPL to return to the Rift. The Nexus towers will fall down, and Misfits Premier claim victory in the last game of the regular split.
Oh, and they end it in style as well. That game was very close throughout, it feels like. Not really one winner going either way. Both of the teams tussling, turning over objectives. And ultimately, just one single fight. One slight overextension from Bung. Not quite having the vision, not quite having that capability. It cost them, and it cost OPL on the match.